In this video, we look at a principle called the open-closed principle. This is related to object-oriented programming or design in particular. What the principle says is, it is abbreviated OCP. What OCP says is that we would like to have modules that are closed for modification. That is, you should not be opening up modules to make changes. Instead, modules should be extended through other mechanisms. There should be a possibility of adding new features to a module through a different mechanism. That is actually true for any type of design and programming, but it is very well facilitated in an object-oriented system. If you have a class, for example, and it does some work, and you want to add more stuff to it, we could go and change the class, but that actually could be problematic for all the current users of the class. That is why we would like to keep it closed for modification. What we should do is then have another class and relate it to the existing class and use the features of the existing class and add more stuff to it. And you know what that is? That is inheritance. So inheritance is a powerful mechanism for extending the functionality of an existing module, which in this case is a class. And that is what we did in the library system. If you think about it, we wanted to add new types of items in the library, things like periodicals and DVDs. And what did we do? We said, okay, let's have a class that does some work, and that we called the loanable item. And we extended the functionality for different types of items by having separate classes. That is a very powerful mechanism supported by object-oriented systems, but it can actually be thought of in a more general way. If you look at the visitor pattern, for example, it allows you to add more functionality to the system without actually modifying anything within the system. One could say the same thing about state, but that is a little more difficult to do. You can add more states to an existing machine, and the system can possibly be extended, but it is a little more difficult because you have to have state changes to the new state. But this could be, to some extent, considered a reasonable way to extend a system. Similarly, for factory, you could have a factory class that could add more and more types to create. But then, of course, you have to go and modify a little bit of the existing code. But that is the place to modify. That is you don't touch the rest of the system. The rest of the system is still not open for modification. It is there, that is closed, but there is a very well-defined place, the factory, for making your changes. But a visitor is a much better example where you have a well-defined approach to extending the system without touching any of the existing code.